Hey guys, how's it going? I have a great video for you today. I am extremely excited about it. I found out actually that the reason my camera quality was so low was because I had my camera set to only 720p 30 fps. And so I have changed my camera settings. They are now at 1080p and I have it set to max FPS. So hopefully my actual recording base should look a little smoother than it has previously. I'm here. I'm wearing my American flag shirt for the express reason that having the American flag depicted on any kind of clothing violates flag code, and I think that that is super cool and awesome and is something I'm absolutely in favor of doing. So, over the weekend, what day was this? I believe it was the 19th, so that was Sunday. I think. Donald Trump gave a one-on-one interview, and now he has given very few of those any kind of adversarial one-on-one interviews in his presidency, and this has been a pretty crazy time. So he gave a sit-down, drag-out, knockdown interview with Chris Wallace of Fox News, and I have seen parts of this interview. It's great, and I just want to go over and just see how our president is doing, see how our elected leader of the United States is faring when it comes to the support or just how his interview skills are, how he's holding up. So, without further ado, this is Fox News Sunday with Chris Wallace interviewing Donald Trump. Let's go.
Again from Fox News in Washington, today from the White House.
Hey,
We're
Chris
on the
Wallace.
President's patio just outside the Oval Office. President Trump, you've agreed to answer all manner of questions, no subject off limits. Thank you, and welcome back to Fox News.
He's so orange.
Thank you very much.
Let's start with the surge.
I love the
of
tan.
Coronavirus.
It's great. Okay, we're
across
getting
the
right into it.
country in recent months. You still talk about it as, quote, burning embers. But I want to put up a chart that shows where we are with the illness over the last 4.
Which, the phraseology burning embers, that's absolutely something that, like, Stephen Miller wrote, and Donald Trump just fell in love with
months.
that.
As you can see, we hit a peak.
Yep, that's
Here in
inaccurate.
April. 36,000
chart.
cases
It's cases.
a day.
Yeah, cases.
Then it went down, and now since June, it has gone up, more than doubled. One day this week, 75,000 new cases, more than double.
Chris, that's
the old
because we
peak.
have great testing, because we have the best testing in the world. If we didn't test, you wouldn't be able to show that chart. If we tested half.
Why does he think that that's a gotcha? What is he talking about? Yes, if we didn't test, I wouldn't show the chart, but those cases would still exist. Those cases would still be there.
As much, those numbers would be down.
But
We
this isn't
tested-
burning embers, sir. This is a forest
No,
fire.
but I don't say.
True.
I say flames.
True.
We'll put out the flames, and we'll put out in some cases just burning embers. We also have burning embers. We have embers, and we do have flames. Florida became more flame-like, but it's going to be under control. And you know, it's not just this country; it's many countries. We don't talk about it in the news. They don't talk about Mexico and Brazil and still parts.
Mexico's not letting Americans cross the border because we've done such a bad job containing the coronavirus. And people do talk about Mexico and Brazil. We talk about it constantly. What is he talking about?
Of Europe, which actually got hit sooner than us, so it's
They
a little
did.
ahead of us in that sense.
They did.
But you take a look. Why don't they
That's
talk
true.
about Mexico, which is not helping us? And all I can say is thank God I built most of the wall, because if I didn't have the wall up, we would have a much bigger problem with Mexico.
But, sir, we have
Okay.
the 7th highest mortality rate in the world. Our mortality
That's true.
rate is higher than Brazil.
That's true.
It's higher than Russia. And the European Union has us on a travel ban.
Yeah, I think what we'll do, well, we have them on a travel ban too, Chris.
Yeah, we put up the EU travel ban back when they had more cases than us, and now they have us on travel ban because we have more cases than all of Europe has had combined.
close them off. If you remember,
Yeah, we did
I
close
was
them
the
off,
one that
but
did the European Union very early. But when you talk
yeah, the issue is that this didn't end very early.
about mortality
Okay.
rates,
I'm
I
gonna
think it's the opposite. I
try to let
think
him
we
go.
have one of the lowest mortality
It's not
rates
true,
in the
sir.
world.
We
we'll
don't.
take a look.
We had 900
We don't.
deaths on a single day.
We will take a look.
This week.
Ready?
You can check
Could you
it out.
please get me the mortality rate?
Yeah.
Kaylee's right here. I heard we had one of the
He's gonna
lowest,
get his-
maybe the lowest mortality rate anywhere in the world. You have
Vietnam has 0 coronavirus deaths. Japan had like a couple hundred, I think. In fact, no, we can look it up a different time. But we do not have one of the lowest mortality
numbers,
rates in the
please?
world.
Because
That's
I heard we had the
no
best
way.
mortality rate.
No.
These figures similarly situated countries as Dr. Burks points out.
I want to see this.
Number one
Look how big the font is.
low mortality rate. I hope you show the scenario because
Number
it shows
one.
what fake news is all about. Okay,
I
go
don't
ahead.
think I'm fake news.
Did he
but
just
I
say
will-
we do
well,
have the
you
number
will,
one
but
low
our
mortality
You
stats-
rate?
said we had the worst mortality rate in the world.
I
and we
said-
No, he didn't. No, he didn't.
have
You
the
had
best.
the
All right, it's a little complicated, but bear with us. We went with numbers from Johns Hopkins University,
Yes.
which charted the mortality rate for 20 countries hit by the virus. The U.S. ranked 7th,
Correct.
better than the United Kingdom, but worse than Brazil and Russia. The White House
Correct.
went with this chart from the European CDC, which shows Italy and Spain doing worse, but countries like Brazil and South Korea doing better. Other countries doing better, like Russia, aren't included in the White House chart.
California.
So wait, Donald Trump said we're doing the best. And even on his chart, we're not doing the best. This rules.
Locking down again. Florida, deadliest day of the entire pandemic. Hospitals
Messed
at
up.
capacity in a number of places around the country. Shortages of testing. Shortages of personal protective equipment for nurses and doctors. A lot of people say this is because we don't have a national plan. You talk about...
We don't have a federal response at all. We haven't had a federal response since day one. Our response has been absolutely terrible. Just, I mean, even to this day, we're pushing it onto states and even then onto like cities to take care of this, when if you look at every single country that handled this well and handled this quickly, the most common response is that they had a strong federal attack to it. They set universal laws across the board. They had harsh testing. They had... See, when Donald Trump talks about how much testing we do, and he talks about this constantly. He loves to talk about how we do the most testing of anybody in the world. We have the best testing of anyone in the world. One, we had tests that worked, and we decided not to use them because we would have had to pay the EU for them. I've talked about that in previous videos. But also, we've had all sorts of different tests coming out. Half of them haven't worked. We don't have any like federal testing standard. Also, part of the reason that we have the most testing in the world is because we're the only country that has suffered this hard for this long. Every other country that had more testing than us isn't having an issue with the virus anymore, and they don't have to even worry about it nearly as much. I'm going to turn up my desk. I'm going to turn up the audio for the interview in case that's an issue right now. Just see how that works. See if this is better, if the interview's a little louder. But yeah, the reason we have so much testing is because we need this much testing. Other countries that have less, it's generally because they don't need it at this point. Most of Europe, they don't need that much testing at this point.
States. We don't have a national plan. Do you take responsibility for that?
Look, I take responsibility.
And no, one of the best corollaries with having a good response was having a national response.
Always for everything because it's ultimately my job.
I do love that he took his notes from the time that he said he didn't take responsibility, and they're like, no, dude, you can't say that. And now they're like, okay, I take responsibility for everything.
Job too. I have to get everybody in line. Some
You remember when he said that? You remember when he said, I don't take responsibility for that?
governors have done well. Some governors have done poorly. This
I like how he says he's going to take responsibility for everything, and then instantly just pushes it off on the governors.
Supposed to have supplies. They didn't have. I supplied everybody. Now,
that's how supplies work. You know why some governors didn't have supplies? Because they were being bid over by richer states for your stockpiles because we don't have a federal response.
now we have somewhat of a surge in certain areas, and other areas we're doing great. But we have a surge in certain areas.
That
But you
surge
don't
is
hear
happening
people
in red
complaining about
states.
ventilators. We've got all the ventilators we can use. We're supplying them to other countries. We go out into parking lots and everything. Everybody gets a test. We find if we did half the testing. With all of that being said, I'm glad we.
There are tests where people are taking like 2 weeks to get the results. Like there's people losing their jobs because in order to go back to work, they need to get tested because they're working around people. And then guess what's happening? They're getting tested and the results aren't coming in for weeks. Our tests are so slow because we don't have we don't have federally mandated rules. We don't have a federal general response.
Did it. This is the right way to do it. I'm glad we did what we're doing, but we have more tests by far than any country in the world.
But, sir,
Once again, because-
testing is up 37%.
Well, that's
30
good.
I understand. Cases are up 194%. It isn't just that testing has gone up, it's that the virus has spread. The positivity rate has increased.
Oh, no.
Many
the
of
virus
those
is worse
cases,
than it was.
many of those cases are young people that would heal in a day. They have the sniffles, and we put it down as a test. Many of them. Don't forget. I guess it's like
Well, yeah, because it is a case. These people are still spread. Everybody's obsessed with the mortality rate, but the hospitalization and treatment rate is like 1 in 5. Like, I think it's almost like over 30% of people have like some kind of long-term damage or symptoms that last or still last. We don't know how long these symptoms are going to last. Like, this is not like it isn't just about deaths. When he talks about these cases that are the sniffles that are going to go away the next day, that's an exaggeration. Even mild cases are still pretty nasty for a lot of people. But this is such a bad characterization. It's like it's death.
99.7%. People are going to get better, and in many
99.7% is still rough, and B, in the numbers they showed, that's a 4% mortality rate in the numbers from John Hopkins that they showed literally earlier this interview. And also, once again, we're leaving out the rate of damage and the hospitalization rate.
cases they're going to get better very quickly. We go out and we look, and then on the news, look, if you go back to the news, even your wonderful competitors, you'll see cases are up. Well, cases are up. Many of those cases shouldn't even be cases. Cases are up because we have the best.
Allow me to explain this to you, Mr. President. If you have COVID-19, you count as a case of COVID-19.
Testing in the world, and we have the most testing.
right.
No country has ever done what we've done in terms of testing. We are the envy of the world, they call, and they say the most incredible job anybody's done is our job on testing, because we're going to very shortly be up to 50.
That's so obviously not true. What country did worse in testing than us? Like, the UK did, but that's classic Boris Johnson. But, like, so many countries did better at testing. Japan, I mean, all of Asia, obviously. And, like, most of Europe.
50 million tests. You look at other countries, they don't even do tests. They do tests if somebody walks
They don't
into
need
the
to
hospital.
anymore.
They're sick.
They've gotten
They're
over
really
this.
sick.
Okay, no. Asymptomatic spreaders. So many asymptomatic. They did contact tracing. That's why they didn't have to test like everybody randomly, because they had good contact tracing. Ugh.
They test them then, or they'll test them in a doctor's office. But they don't go around and have massive areas of testing, and we do.
They do. They absolutely do. And if they don't now, they did before, and they don't need them anymore because they did better than we did.
And I'm glad we do, but it really skews the numbers.
I'm going to do you a favor, because I'm sure a lot of people listening right now are going to say, Trump, he tries to play it down. He tries to make it not seem as serious as it is.
No,
When
this
you
is very
see
serious. I don't play for it.
75,000 cases a day.
Show me the death chart.
Well, I don't have the.
Why does he think that the only cases that matter are deaths? What is wrong
No,
with
the
you,
death
dude?
chart is
But I
much
can
more
tell you,
important.
the death chart is 1,000 cases a day.
Excuse me. It's
True.
all too much. It shouldn't be one case. It came from China. They should have never let it escape. They should have never let it out. But it
And now he's blaming China. So since he said that he took total responsibility for everything, so far he's blamed the governors. Now he's blamed China.
is what it is. Take a look at Europe. Take a look at the numbers in Europe. And by the way,
I can
they're
tell you,
having
cases
surges.
are 6,000
They're
in
pretty
the
great.
whole European Union.
They don't test.
They don't need to because they're not spreading it as much anymore.
They don't test like
Is
we
it possible
test.
that they don't have the virus as badly
No,
as
it's
we
possible that they don't test. That's what's possible. We find cases, and many of those cases heal automatically. We're finding, in a way, we're creating trouble. Certainly, we're creating trouble for the fake news to come along and say, "Oh, we have
That's
more cases." Look, we did something that nobody's ever done. Not only the ventilators, where we're supplying them all over the world, we did a testing program, the likes of which nobody's ever done before.
do. The head of the CDC, Dr. Redfield, said
I wish that Chris would press him on this because there's so many things that he's obviously like this idea that our issue is not that we have cases, but that we're testing and finding them, and if we ignored it, it would all be fine.
this on Tuesday.
I do think the fall and the winter of 2020 and
What a-
2021 are
what
going
a
to be
hairline,
probably one of the most
dude.
difficult times that we've
This
experienced
rules.
in American public health.
I
You
love
agree
this
with Dr.
dude.
Redfield?
I don't
Did
know.
he shave
and I
his
don't think he
face
knows.
to
I don't
get
think
the-
anybody knows with this. This is a very tricky deal. Everybody thought the summer it would go away and it would come back in the fall. Well, in the summer it came. They used to say the heat
Oh, hold on. No, you thought that, Mr. Trump. You thought that. I remember. Do you guys remember when he said when he made the when he did that whole interview or the press conference where he said that he says they were saying that it's gonna go away in the summer when it's nice and warm, and everybody was like, dude, what are you talking about? No. We didn't say that. Everybody didn't say that. You said that, and we laughed at you then, and this is why.
the heat was good for it, and it really knocks it out. Remember? And then it might come
No,
back in the fall.
you said that,
they
and
got
everybody
one
laughed
wrong.
at
They
you.
got a lot wrong. They got a lot wrong.
That
the
was
World
you.
Health got a tremendous amount wrong. They basically did whatever China wanted them to, and
True,
will save
true.
now almost $500 million a year, which is nice. But the World Health got a lot wrong.
But this is one of the sharpest criticisms of you.
I agree.
People say that you talk about the world as you'd like to see it rather than follow the signs.
No,
Well, let me just ask the question, sir. Why on earth would your administration be involved in a campaign at this point to discredit Dr. Fauci, who is the nation's top infectious disease expert?
because we're not. If one man from my administration doesn't like him because he made a few mistakes. Look, Dr. Fauci said don't wear a mask. Dr. Fauci told me not to ban China. It would be a big mistake.
Okay, let's talk about the mask ban. Also, first thing, let's talk about the China ban. The thing about the China ban was it wasn't the most important thing to do. Like, it wasn't as bad, but I mean, Dr. Fauci said to, if this is true, Dr. Fauci said not to ban people from China and that it would be a mistake. And I mean, we did ban China. Look what's happened. Hasn't been great. The problem with banning China was that it wasn't even like a top 5 most important thing to do. The first thing we should have done is worked on our stockpiles, worked on commandeering production, worked on setting up a national testing standard, which we still haven't done. So, yeah, banning China or travel from China, yeah, that's kind of okay, I guess. Like, I don't have an issue that you did it. Like, if Dr. Fauci was like, no, don't do that, then that's kind of dumb. But I'm pretty sure that Dr. Fauci was telling him to do other stuff instead. And that's what Trump ignored and internalized and is talking about now. Because clearly, just banning Chinese travel wasn't enough, based on the fact that, you know, we see what we see. And then on the whole masks thing, there were constant reports about this when it happened. Donald Trump obviously doesn't watch like actual news reports. The reason that people were saying not to wear masks, or Fauci was saying not to wear masks, was because It was the N95 masks, and because we've underfunded our public health system and we didn't have good enough stockpiles of masks and PPE, then we needed to tell people, hey, don't wear masks, just stay home and social distance, please, because we didn't want to rush on N95s. Because if you tell an American, hey, these masks, they work, they help, but please don't buy them. We need our doctors to have them. Americans will be like, you know what, screw that, and they will go and buy every single mask in the store. That's what Americans will do. So obviously, would I have said, no, don't buy masks? No, but the reason they said not to buy masks, everybody knew they worked. Like, they obviously work. Every single study, everything has shown that they work. But the thing is that he said not to wear masks. They said not to wear masks because they needed to stockpile them for the medical professionals who need them.
I did it over and above his recommendation. Dr. Fauci then said you saved tens of thousands of lives, more than that. He said you saved tens of thousands of lives. Dr. Fauci's made some mistakes, but I spoke to him yesterday at length. I have a very good relationship with Dr. Fauci.
But sir, this weekend, your White House put out a series of statements, so-called mistakes, that Dr. Fauci had made. One of your closest aides, one of your right-hand men, Daniel Scavino, put out this. Have you seen this?
Well,
this Dr. Fawcett, it shows him as a leaker and an alarmist.
Oh, I don't know that he's a leaker.
Why would
he's a little bit of an alarmist. That's okay. A little bit of an alarmist.
I'm an alarmist?
A little bit of an alarmist. Let me just say. Dr. Fauci at the beginning.
200,000
And again, I have a great
That's not
relationship with him.
alarmism.
I spoke to him at length yesterday. Dr. Fauci at the beginning said, this will pass, don't worry about it, this will pass. He was wrong. Dr. Fauci said, don't ban China, don't ban China. I did. He then admitted that I was right.
But you made mistakes too.
I guess everybody makes mistakes.
I was going to say, you said at one point.
It's one person coming in from China, and
they're hitting with.
It's going to be just fine.
When you have 15
montage.
people, and the 15 within a couple of days is going to be down to close to zero, that's a pretty good job we've done. I think
All
we're
this
going to be very
rules.
good with the coronavirus. I think that at some point
man.
that's going to sort of just disappear, I hope. I'll be right eventually. I will be right
understand.
eventually. You know, I said it's going to disappear. I'll say it again.
But
it's going to disappear.
does that discredit
and I'll
you?
be right. I don't think so.
Right.
I don't think so. You know why it doesn't?
I'll be right
Because I've been
eventually.
right probably more than anybody else.
Then there are masks. From the first day that the CDC said that people should wear
He said like two things that were right this entire interview.
masks on April 3rd, you said you weren't going to. You wore a mask for the first time in public at Walter Reed this weekend. Question, the CDC says if everybody wore a mask for 4 to 6 weeks, we could get this under control. Do you
Obviously true. Obviously true.
regret not wearing a mask in public from the start? And will you consider a national mandate that people need to wear masks?
No, I want people to have a certain freedom, and I don't believe in that, no. And I don't agree with the statement that if everybody were...
Your freedom to not wear a mask? Okay, I want the freedom to not live in a country that's in a perpetual pandemic. Please. Please.
a mask, everything disappears. Hey, Dr. Fauci said don't wear a mask.
We already covered why he said that, and it's every
Our Surgeon
country
General
that
to-
has every country has successfully dealt with this once again has been strong with masks, strong with social distancing, and strong with contact
If
tracing.
a guy said don't wear a mask, everybody was saying don't wear a mask. All of a sudden, everybody's got to wear a mask. And as you know, masks cause problems too. With that being
They don't. Masks do not cause problems. That is a conspiracy theory. They do not.
said, I'm a believer in masks. I think masks...
Correction. They do if you have, like, a very rare medical condition. But, like, no. They don't affect your oxygenation levels. They don't... No. Masks do not cause problems.
are good. But I leave it up to the governors. Many of the governors are changing.
Once again,
They're more
he
mask
cannot take
into-
responsibility.
they like the concept of masks, but some of them don't agree. I do say this, schools have to open, young people have to go to school, and there's problems when you don't go to school too. And there's going to be a funding problem because we're not going to fund, when they don't open their schools, we're not going to fund them. We're not going to give them money if they're not going to school. If they,
Wait, but
they don't open
2
their
points on
schools.
that. First of all, what the federal government gives is 8%.
It's 10%, and you know what? That's a lot of money.
And you're going to take them. You know where the money goes? It goes overwhelmingly.
no, he doesn't know where the money goes. Of course he doesn't know where the money goes. Why would he? He doesn't read.
To disadvantaged kids and children with disabilities.
True.
Let the
Why wouldn't you
schools,
send more money so the schools would be
Chris,
safer?
let the
True. Increase school funding. Obviously. In fact, actually, I'm thinking about splitting this video into multiple parts. I think I will keep schools in with coronavirus, but then
schools open. Did
I'll
you
see
ever
where I
see the
want to stop.
statistics on young people below the age of 18? The state of New Jersey had thousands of deaths. Of all of these
Okay.
thousands, one person below the age of 18 in the entire state. One person. And that was a person that had, I believe he said, diabetes.
okay, for obviously I care if kids die, but the concern isn't that kids will die. Kids go home at the end of the day, and they see their parents, and they see their grandparents, and then their parents go to work. What about teachers and staff? Like, the disease vector that opening school would be is insane. Like, no, the kids aren't going to die en masse. The kids aren't even probably going to be very damaged en masse. But the social hub that a school is, you can't open that back up in this state.
One person below the age of 18 died in the state of New Jersey.
Once again,
during
all
the-
he cares about, the only number he cares about is how many people die. This goes so much deeper than that.
all of this, you know, they had a hard time. And they're doing very well now. So that's it.
The stimulus bill is running out the end of this month. The Republicans say they want liability limits, which the Democrats don't like. You say that you want a payroll tax cut, which even some Republicans
Of
are
course he does.
cool to.
Well, a lot of
course he
Republicans
does.
like it, though.
That is the entire purpose of the Republican Party, of the Conservative Project, is business tax cuts. To let the wealthy get wealthier and let poor people just continue to suffer, as obviously we're taking money away from schools if they don't send children back into the death trap.
Will you only sign a bill that has those two provisions?
Well, we're going to see, but we do need protections because businesses are going to get sued just because somebody walked in. You don't know where this virus comes from. They'll sit down at a restaurant. They'll sue the restaurant. The guy's out of business.
Right.
They won't. They won't.
So we do need some kind of a immunity. You do need it, just like you need immunity for the police, okay, whether they like it or not. You need
Gonna slip that in. I've talked about qualified immunity at length.
immunity for the police. But they do need a form of immunity. You don't know if they caught it, and nobody's ever going to be able to prove it one way or the other. You can't put these, the people out. Look, the Democrats don't want to do that because they're totally captured by the lobby of lawyers. The lawyers' lobby is probably the most powerful in the country.
He just said the lawyers' lobby is the most powerful in the country? Hold on. I'm just gonna... Hold on. Most powerful lobby groups in Washington. The lawyers' lobby? Let's see. Okay. Let's see. Southern Company, which is an American Gas and Electricities. Facebook. Lockheed Martin, that's defense. The Internet and Television Association, that's broadband, obviously. Bayer, a German pharmaceutical company. The National Association of Broadcasters, obviously. Northrop Grumman, of course. Amazon, Comcast, Boeing, AT&T, the AMA. Alphabet, Google, Business Roundtable, which is just a giant CEO group, Blue Cross Blue Shield, the AHA, Pharmaceutical Research and Manufacturers, the Open Society Center, Realtors, the Chamber of Commerce. No. The lawyers lobby. The lawyers lobby is is nothing compared to the huge lobbies that are paying you and want you and your party to cut taxes on billionaires and businesses.
What about the payroll tax cut?
I want to see it. I want to see
And
it.
if it
It's a
isn't in
great
the
thing.
bill?
I'll have to see. But yeah, I would consider not signing.
The payroll tax cut? Hold on a second. What is the what does the payroll tax fund? Social Security and Medicare. Ooh, we're going to keep gutting Social Security and Medicare. That's
If we don't have a payroll tax cut.
it's dystopian.
Hot enough for you here, Mr. President?
It's hot.
That's a nice jump
It's
cut.
about well, sort of almost record-breaking.
You know,
stuff,
we wanted to do it inside. This was your choice.
but I wanted you to sweat a little bit.
Well, we both
Chris
are.
Wallace is
There
clearly
has been a
not
spike
sweating.
in violent crime in America in recent.
Ooh, okay. I think we're about to leave the whole coronavirus bit. We're going to get to crime. We're going to get to the police. I think that's a good place to stop. I'm going to go ahead and stop it right here. I'm sure very few people are actually going to watch this because that's my content. It's not that good yet. A lot of people don't watch it, but thanks anyway. I am going to stop the recording here, and then I will record a second part, and I will upload this in 3 or 4 parts, however it ends up going. All right. Thank you. Peace out.